Hi guys, so for my current event crisis assignment, I chose a pretty recent incident involving the outdoor retail company REI and their endorsement of Doug Burgum for U.S. Secretary of Interior, which was an endorsement that received major backlash from REI employees, members, and environmental groups. And the endorsement happened pretty recently, like I said, so January 2025, and REI's CEO issued a public apology on April 9th, 2025, after weeks of backlash. And the company retracted their support and announced that they would join an environmental coalition instead. So, what exactly went wrong? REI has built its brand on environmental protection, as most of us probably know, as well as progressive values and sustainability. But then by endorsing Doug Burgum, someone perceived as having ties to anti-environmental policies through the Trump administration, they created a pretty serious conflict with their stakeholder expectations. That's a pretty clear example of what Coombs defined as a preventable crisis, more specifically an organizational misdeed, where the company took a deliberate action that then backfired. Stakeholders, particularly REI's employee base and member community, saw this as hypocritical and in direct opposition to the company's stated values. As the backlash grew online within REI's own staff, the situation escalated into what the textbooks calls a scansis, which is a blend of scandal and crisis that creates emotional and moral outrage. People weren't just upset, they were hurt and they were betrayed. A major issue in this crisis was message inconsistency, like I've kind of stated already. So on one hand, REI publicly champions conservation and inclusivity, but then on the other hand, endorsing a political figure tied to anti-environmental policies set a pretty conflicting signal. That inconsistency severely damaged trust. So REI's initial crisis response strategy was silence, which made the situation that much worse. And then according to Coombs, a delay in acknowledging stakeholder concerns violates a core principle of crisis communication, which is to respond quickly and transparently, which REI clearly failed to do. And eventually, a CEO issued a public apology and admitted the endorsement was a mistake. That was their corrective action, and they also announced that REI would join a pro-public lands coalition. It shows some effort towards reputation repair, but the damage to brand trust remains. The event also highlights a gap in crisis communication planning. So if REI had a better internal system for evaluating high-risk public actions like political endorsements, they may have avoided the mistake entirely. It also speaks to stakeholder theory. So Coombs reminds us that organizations must balance the needs and values of all stakeholders. And in this case, REI's decision may have pleased certain political interests, but it also completely alienated their core consumer and employee base. And then finally, the crisis forces REI into double loop learning. So instead of just fixing the specific errors, they'll have to examine the deeper question, which is, are our actions really aligned with our values? So for final thoughts, the crisis is a great example of how one single decision can damage years of trust, especially for brands built around a single cause. It touches major concerns or core concepts like organizational misdeed, scansis, corrective action, and message consistency, among others. So thanks for watching, and I'm looking forward to seeing your videos and hearing your thoughts too.